All right, let's roar into December here, gang. Real Kyper and Bourne show, Leaf edition, live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan and Sportsnet Plus. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandale, and Jake the Snake Schultz, ready to kick off the week on this Monday. Another game night on Monday for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they just put the Tampa Bay Lightning away Saturday night, JB.
11 Leafs games in the next 21 days, Kip. So more than every other night. Sammy's got Leafs talks with some frequency coming
And we've got, I think, a few games coming up in December.
Really?
We are.
Wow.
I kind of like the schedule.
I do too.
You know?
What do you mean?
We got to work. We still got a lot of regional games to go, but it's been quiet in October and November.
Yeah.
Just going home and having dinner and opening up a nice vino is
Chianti.
it's kind of nice.
They save Kip and I for like the meat of the order. Like we're batting cleanup here, right in the middle of the season. We get to do a whole bunch of games, so I'm very excited about that.
What do you think about our decorations, boys?
Yeah, you
Credits.
spent all night. Were you like Will Ferrell in Elf, where you spent the whole night in the department store to get it ready?
No, but I'm a little concerned about the stuff that's around my desk. I'm getting sparkles rained on my knees over here. My pants and shoes are never going to be the
Wife's gonna think
same.
you're at a strip club.
Yeah, she's like, I thought you were going to work. Yeah.
It does look great though. Credit to
Yeah,
whoever
love it.
decorated the set.
Love it.
It's very festive.
Love it.
All right, which looked like a fairly comfortable lead may have turned into something a little bit, hairy for Leaf fans. But at the end of the day, I think the Leafs got the win that they needed. And despite a push at the end of the game by Tampa, it was a game that the Leafs were fairly in control on the return of Austin Matthews.
Yeah, give him credit. Tampa Bay was on a back-to-back and kind of looked at times. But, they got out to a 4-0 lead in Tampa Bay, and that's no small accomplishment. The puck went in for him. Sammy was chirping Vasilevsky online, saying the Leafs own Vasi.
Yeah. I've never seen Vasilevsky look smaller than last Saturday night and the last.
What about the round 1, 2023? What about that?
Yeah.
Then too.
Yeah. He's looking real human these days.
Well, I think the start of that playoff series with the Leafs and then into last year and then into parts of this year, it's kind of been the downward part for him. But I will say, since that happened, I've never have any fear of going up against him. He's a guy that the Leafs shoot holes in every game. So they own him. They do. They score 4 goals on him every game.
Not to take anything away from Nick Robertson's shot because it was like
It's hard.
bullet.
Yeah.
But that type of goal, when Vasilevsky's on, just doesn't go in.
Yeah, he's like
just
6'6".
He's too big.
Donk him in the chest.
He's too big. Far hash marks that look like it's almost at the top of the circle. Those pucks just never found ways to go in and break Tampa's back.
Yeah. I will say Joseph Wool had a quote about Nick Robertson's shot. He says, what I say to you, one of the best shots he's ever seen.
Yeah.
And we've known that. This is not new information. So good for him for getting on the board and screaming, which I don't think he was celebrating the Leafs going up 3-0. That did not seem like a celebration for the team.
I can't blame him for that, right?
Been there breaking a 20-goal drought and going, that one was for me.
All right, let's start right there with head coach Craig Berube on Nick Robertson.
Well, hopefully give him confidence. We talked to him today about that, and just build off it. And I thought Nick had a good game. I thought he was working hard and he had some, chances tonight, and one went in for him, which was great. You just got to keep at it. That's all. He's working hard. No problem with the work ethic, but talked to him today about getting on the inside more and getting around the net and scoring some greasy goals. But it was great to see him get one for sure.
So not that goal.
Well, and also, is that the goal he's going to score? I don't even know if that's good advice for him in particular. But, I did hear Craig Berube just say, yeah, okay, go do it again.
Yeah.
Not real thrilled about your one goal in 20-some games. Go do it again.
Yeah. So we mentioned Austin Matthews coming back, and there is a sense that they are getting healthier.
How do you think Matthews looked?
kind of the same before he disappeared for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's been out for 3 weeks. I expect him to be a lot more engaged at home against a weaker opponent like Chicago. This could be easily a game that he ends up with 2 or 3 goals and maybe just starts getting on a bit of a roll. But as far as how I saw him Saturday night, much like I did before he got hurt, where it's like he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not there.
Yeah.
A little hesitant.
Little hesitant, little apprehensive.
Afraid of contact a bit.
Like
in
the
some
very
spots.
first shift, I think he went to throw a hit that he braked 3/4 of the way into. I just feel like it's almost like he's not stopping and starting. Like kind of some loopier patterns to me. They played him 20 and a half minutes or something, which I don't know how I feel about that. I guess the game kind of dictated that towards the end where you start protecting a lead or whatever. But yeah, I thought, okay, he was okay.
But
First game
we've seen him when he's been really hot and going, right?
Mhm.
And it's just like nowhere near that level where we've seen him at his very best, dominating, stealing pucks.
And skating through the neutral zone.
and
Really
skating,
getting up to speed.
and guys crawling on his back trying to stop him,
Yeah.
right? So
Not
does
his
it
best night ends up with 2 points. So
Yeah.
can it happen as early
For
as
a win, yeah.
can it happen as early as tonight, or is this something he's going to have to play himself into?
I think, he talked about kind of he had half a practice and gave it a little extra time. And I think you get another practice and another game, and then you get, another morning skate. And, yeah, he definitely can. I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't expect him to be better tonight. I think it's pretty reasonable.
yeah, I thought, what percentage would you say of himself was he at on Saturday? If you're going to put it 75? 75?
Yeah.
That's why, you look at who he's playing with, and Nye clearly had just come back too, but you get other guys back when you get him back too. Like William Nylander was so much more engaged, flying around, playing with him. It's like you see how much better others feel around him.
It gives you another line where
Yeah.
it's been Mitch and John,
Yeah.
dragging this team through the injury
And
muck.
Willie playing with Marlies.
Right. Yeah.
That's the other thing that stood out to me Saturday night is it felt like it was like less rhythm of what we've seen from one line, from the first line to the fourth line,
Mm-hmm.
where without Austin, it's Tavares and Mitch, and McMahon before he got hurt, and then Willie on a second line, and it was like more of a rotation feel where you just go through your lines.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturday night, it felt more broken down to if you're Berube, when do I get Matthews back out there? And a few times there was offensive zone faceoffs. I think on one play, Tavares started a period, pulled him off like 19 seconds later for an offensive zone faceoff where he wanted to get Austin out there.
Yeah.
So it just felt a little bit more jagged to me in terms of Berube really figuring out what he wanted to do with those first two lines. How do you match them up?
I wonder if it's a combination of things there where it's like Nyes hadn't been in for a while either. So you have two guys finding their way back from injury, and Willie is maybe you're not your defensive stud the way that Marner and Tavares are, and you say this is just a better opportunity for them that sets everyone up in their best spots. But it is a different look when you have two first lines essentially.
And you look at the ice times, it would reflect that, right? Like the top guys are all up around 20, and then everyone underneath there is like 10 and 11 and 8.
It's
and
actually
7.
really funny you say that.
Yeah.
Amongst forwards,
Yeah.
Holmberg played 17-21, and he was the 6th highest ice time. The 7th highest is Minton at 11:31.
Yeah.
So there's a 6-minute gap between your 6th and 7th forward.
Do you have them all? Do you have all the
Yeah.
ice times broken down?
Yep.
So what did Nylander end up with power play ice time again?
Oh, I actually don't have the time on ice broken down.
Okay.
But Nylander is 20-35
Yeah.
on the game. Matthews
Yeah.
20-23, Mitch 21-08.
I found it interesting. Craig Simpson on the telecast, who's a regular guest on our show, made a comment about Willie playing all the 2 minutes. And on one instance, with about $130, $140, he didn't have, as Craig said, didn't have really the juice to go after maybe a loose puck or a play. And at that point, I'm I'm with Craig that, okay, enough of all of 2 minutes for Willie. I've seen
none
enough.
of these guys, none of them are good enough power play players to play 2 minutes. It makes no sense for any of them to be out there for that long. You got more than enough good forwards, maybe a little thin right now.
If you're doing 5 forwards, though, on the top unit, you understand how much that neuters your second unit.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You understand why you would leave one of them out there. But if I'm Berube, I'm going to rotate through who that is each power play. Like maybe Marner does it one time, Nylander does it one time, Matthews does it one time.
Yeah,
that
just could be a merit thing. Who's playing?
Yeah,
good,
for
that's the
always
two.
just to be Willie. Like I agreed with Simmer on that. It was a good point where it's just like, I don't know if this needs to be every power play.
And the one case, too, is like a guy like Ovechkin, who typically does that, has a very low output situation.
Exactly.
Parks and shoots, and he comes back to the blue line.
Or like skates into the center ice line a little bit and then back towards that.
Yeah, he's not twisting and turning.
No,
like
he's not doing the break-in.
No, he's twisting and turning and doing this.
You want to go to Robertson moving up in the lineup?
No, that was from today. That was just he got asked if you'd ever consider him moving up there with the the spot where
our whole
Holmberg
team's
is.
hurt and we didn't. So no.
Yeah, so somebody asked him about that, but there's been a lot of questions, and it's a good conversation to have. The temperature from Leafs Nation on Pontus Holmberg continuing to play in the top 6 of this team, I would say is quite warm, and I would say the takes on it, like, what is it that keeps him there? Why does he play 6 minutes more than the next guy below him? Because, Mitch Marner's bouncing pucks off his head. He doesn't even know where they're coming from. Like, he's just it's like, what was that? Like, was that a pass? Yeah. What was that? What is it with him? Is it just the lanes like you've mentioned? I don't, the defensive responsibility, is that it?
Who's left then?
Right? I agree.
Who's
I agree.
left?
He's the necessary evil, but Leafs Nation is pissed off about it.
I guess it's Robertson is the one that people are upset about.
It really just comes down to a bigger body.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And they'd rather go with the bigger body.
It's
if that simple between Nick Robertson and Holmberg.
Yeah, if you played 82 games with Holmberg, Tavares, Marner, or 82 games with Robertson, Tavares, Marner, I would not be surprised if the Holmberg group outperformed them, just in terms of how often you played at the right end of the ice, and maybe he can at least create something in front of the net. Maybe Mitch gets a few more assists with Robertson,
and Holmberg right now, despite how Leaf Nation feel about him, can buy them time. Holmberg is buying them time for the eventual trade that they're going to make.
Trade?
Yeah.
You think like before deadline or?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, 100%.
And looking for
center.
A center, excuse me. Just coughing.
Sure.
Mike, it's great. People love that.
Yep.
That's an interesting thought.
Absolutely.
And do you have any thought on what type of center, what they're shopping around for?
Go big. Go big.
Yeah.
This is the year to go big. So it'll feel like, I think, another Ryan O'Reilly type of trade.
And what do you think timeline are we looking at here? Like, what's the
still a cap issue. I know we're all excited that the cap's going up, but it's not going up in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
So there's some juggling to do on that front. And you still got to see how things kind of open up, because we are past American Thanksgiving and teams are now figuring out who the pretenders and contenders are. So there'll be a separation now moving forward. But they're winning. They're gaining. They're gaining. They've put themselves in a great position to win the Atlantic as is. So there's no real race to go get a centerman today.
Is it Kadri?
I was just going to say, wait, now I'm back.
It's somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, it is somebody.
You think the Calgary Flames are going to do the thing where they trade to Toronto?
Because
wasn't that a big problem with Tanev?
It's very hard
last year,
no matter how you feel about someone personally, to turn down an offer you can't refuse.
I also think, Kadri maybe doesn't match up with their timeline. And so getting that money off the books, the Flames timeline, as he gets older and they get better, maybe it doesn't make as much sense for them to carry $7 million till 20.
You'd have to. There's still some juggling going on, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to see an influential centerman like that come in. that can. It depends on what you see between Matthews and Tavares. I think Tavares will still be in a position that he is now where he can find ways to produce.
Yeah.
Right? He's still going to find his area in front of the net, and he's going to find a way to bank one in like he did Saturday
Great
night.
goal on Saturday. No looker.
Typical goal by him in front of the net.
They're all spinning fire.
Right?
That was a nice one.
But it's that space of ice between like the slot
I love
and in front of the
Kadri
net
for them this year. I love that fit for them. It makes a ton of sense.
So you need someone big and heavy that can
He's
times
competitive. He can kill penalties. He's
at times can match up with their second best centerman. And I'm not sure they want Tavares to do that in April and May. So if it isn't, a Kadri, it's got to be a Nick Paul type of guy that can play against the other team's top second line centerman if you go head to head with Matthews. And they don't have to find him today or tomorrow. So
they're good enough to keep their head above water here for
with Holmberg.
That's underselling it for sure.
With Holmberg, with Robertson, with McMahon when he's back, with all of these guys.
So don't take for granted, Leaf Nation, how good your good players are. When we said what we just said about Holmberg and Robertson, they are, by points percentage, the best team in the Atlantic right now. With 6 injuries, with Holmberg in the top 6.
Passengers out there.
Yeah, with some guys that, you could fix that tomorrow if you wanted to, So it's just a real testament to how good their good players are.
And they will get healthy. So do you want to start with the injuries or the guys that may be coming back?
Well, we should.
I think finish off on the game and Wall.
Yeah, I think we should probably do a minute on Wall here.
Okay.
What did you think of the Lightning getting back in the game? What did you chalk that up to?
Too little, too late. The game was decided.
Totally agree.
And not a real big worry for me.
Not the same level of urgency.
Look at the goals that went in that went off a skate and
totally agree.
Totally. I'm not hanging that on Joseph Wall.
You're playing the scoreboard, couple get banked in.
And an offensive penalty call on Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
You hated that one?
Oh my God. I don't know if the refs watching the game. Sorry to do this, but
he's watching the game.
They're standing there. These two guys are having a war in front of the net.
I think he missed maybe the very first cross check, and it was like a makeup for the one I missed. Maybe,
but so
you don't watch the game very well.
Bingo. But it was Gensel he was battling with in front of the net. Gave him a hard slash, lower the leg before. They're battling in front. He gives him a little shot, and then Cirelli gives. For him to pick Oliver Ekman-Larsson at that spot of the game, they've been fighting all night. This is
cross-checking.
I couldn't believe they called that. It was such
it's like the definition of hockey, right? You're late game fighting for ice.
Hero call by the ref. He's like, I haven't made a call. I got to insert myself here. I just hate when they do that. Anyways, I agree with you on that.
But other than that, stellar.
Good game.
Stellar.
Yeah.
The breakaway, all of it. Key saves at the right time.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say what you will about No Kucherov or Nick Paul. Those are key guys for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a different feel with them in it. But overall, they did what they were supposed to do, and that's, at the very least, come out of the state of Florida with a split.
Yep. And Joseph Woll's last 5 games now, 5-0-0, 1.79 goals against, and a .939 save percentage. He's humming. So he's found his game a little bit. Let's listen to Coach Craig Berube in clip 4 on Joseph Woll.
He was solid all game. Had to make some real good saves, especially in the third. I thought he made some great saves. And their power play, was that in the second period, I thought? Yeah, he made some good saves there too. So, he was solid. Very good.
Just make good saves. That's Berube's coaching philosophy when it comes to goaltending.
Yeah.
Make good saves.
All right, let's
simple.
So, just to finish off the goaltending thing, just they're both going to play a ton here. There's no reason
Tons
to
of
really.
hockey.
There's no real reason to.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Read into anything?
No, it's too early.
Okay.
It's just too early.
All good.
The mere fact that they're both going at the same time means that it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
No, it's the difference between last season and this year. Right now, they're a .910 save percentage combined. Last year, this time, they're an .893, and there's the standing difference.
.893.
Yeah, they got no help. Last year, man.
My
Yeah.
Okay, let's focus on the latest injury update. No Jake McCabe tonight. He took a shot towards the back of the head, ear area Saturday night. Only ended up with 11-plus minutes. Never returned. Sounds like it's not serious. He will miss tonight.
They're calling it precautionary.
You want to hear the update from the coach?
Yeah, Philip Myers will be in tonight. Let's get an update from Craig Berube.
Clip 5.
Jake is day-to-day, but I think he'll be fine. Just a little precautionary tonight, but he should be good. But he's not in tonight. And Hawk and Paw is on IR.
Hawk and Paw is on IR.
He's on ISLAND. He's on Robot Island. He's gone.
And Mark Masters
No,
asked,
he's not gone.
he has to follow up being like, is it a knee thing? He's like, yeah.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Basically, he's like, yeah. The old Steve Simmons bone on bone may have been right.
This was a roll of the dice right from the get-go.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that decision? Here's the question mark. It's $1.4 million.
Yeah. I mentioned that to you guys upstairs.
Yeah.
I don't really get the 1.4 they had to give him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many teams were racing out there to sign him. If I'm jamming down everyone's throat the minimum contract of $850, how does a guy with no knee get 1.4?
I don't know.
Good agent?
Great agent. I would like more than that. On what basis? I would like more. All right.
Here it is.
So I don't believe that this is the last we'll ever hear of him again, but for him to legitimately be a guy that they can go to in April, he has to get in games.
Yeah, Kip, he got to play
Gotta
run
play.
of a month. Like,
No.
he's got to play 35 games where he plays 3 weeks in a row and not hurt.
Yeah, if this guy's playing 15 games this year, I don't know how you can go to him in April.
I gotta tell you, when Simone Benoit plays well, I really like him.
Yeah.
Like when he was
He's really good Saturday night.
really good. He's skating again. He's finishing his checks, getting physical and competitive.
No one's going through along the wall past him.
And he loves that. He loves to smunch guys
Yes,
over there.
he
So
does.
great. Like that's what Hawk and Paw's supposed to do. And Berube seems to really like Timmins, so off we go. Why don't we get coach's thoughts on Myers going in? This is a kind of a different one. He's been with the team all year just practicing. So let's get a Philippe Myers clip 7.
I think just, he hasn't played for a while since the Boston game in Boston, but, he's practiced well and he works extremely hard. So just keep it simple with him. Like, he's a big guy, he can move well, be physical, defend well. He's playing with Morgan Riley, and, Morgan can move the puck, and just play your game. That's his game. It's simple. You don't have to complicate it. He's got a good shot. Let's use it tonight. We get opportunities in the offensive zone. He should be ripping pucks.
There you go.
Love that.
He's
Love that.
had
Ripping pucks.
Yeah.
Myers has had good success, at different places in his career, and just
Philly,
seems
right?
like even before that, I think Nashville,
Yeah.
where it was looking good there for a while, and then it kind of falls off, and then they quit on him.
Mm-hmm. Because
And-
Myers is not young, right? Is he 20?
I don't think he's young at all.
7 or something?
He may be older than that.
I will find that answer.
Yeah,
forthwith. 27.
Yeah.
Turns 28 in January.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah, that
That's
seems to be.
That was the mandate from Tree Living.
Big
this
guy
summer.
shoots right
Get big, get long.
Yeah.
and shoot right.
That doesn't hurt either.
Certainly very helpful. Want to hear a really fun, bizarre Leaf stat? And this can be a useful or useless thing for you, Kip. NHL Edge tracks, what's the fastest someone has skated on your team this year? What's the hardest someone has shot a puck? And then they rank it around the NHL. The Leafs may be last in their top shot speed. The hardest a Leaf has shot the puck this year is 93.7 miles per hour. Does that mean anything? That they don't have anyone that shoots it hard?
I think it matters.
Where they ranked in goal scoring?
Pretty high, I would think, right? Actually, maybe not.
Who's scoring goals for
Oh,
them?
you're right. Let's see here. Teams, goals for per game. They are currently 15th in the NHL.
Mid.
0.04. Mid, to say the least.
So that's what their shot
Who
is.
had the hardest shot?
The team with the hardest shot?
No. Who does it say? Who on the Leafs had the hardest shot?
Yeah.
No, it
Tanev,
doesn't.
Saturday night.
Yeah, already ripped one. How about our boy?
I got to say that was awesome. Just
Yeah.
for him to get you could have gone the whole year without him getting 1 point, and the contract's worth it. But to have, he's still fun to score a goal. He got a great shot on the tip that Nyes ended up getting to. So good offensive night for Tanev.
And he almost had another, like a couple shifts later. He went cheese.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to an OEL 10 of
They're playing
Clippers,
together.
Clippers?
They're playing together tonight.
Let's do it. Clip 8.
Well, just with losing McCabe, kind of put two guys together that we can use as a shutdown pair. That's where we're thinking, So that's in terms of that. He's got a great stick. Ekman Larson, great stick, skates well, big, plays physical. So that's what we're thinking there with the pair.
In about 10 minutes, we're going to welcome in Darren Pang, Blackhawks analyst. Does a terrific job also for TNT. And we'll get his thoughts on OEL and Tanev going up against Connor Bedard.
Looking forward to that. Update for you, the slap shot was William Nylander against Edmonton in November.
Wow.
We do have another injury update. We kind of been tracking the progress, everyone.
I just wanted to ask about Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Okay.
Wouldn't say loved him on Saturday night.
I wouldn't say I loved him in Florida.
Couple.
I didn't think he was good against Panthers.
Yeah, a couple of
That turnover
games.
into the middle for the breakaway was it Asimont that had the breakaway? I was like, oh boy, that was Travis Dermott-esque. It was.
No, you're right.
The only, thing we've brought up a lot earlier in the year was how much do you want to go to him? He was a top third pair guy on a Stanley Cup team last year. And would the Leafs continually use him as a 3 or 4 and be over 20 minutes a night? Maybe some of those early minutes in the first quarter of the season maybe caught up to him a little bit going into the last 2 games.
I think he's been handed a bit too much. The Leafs, like TOI, time on ice leaders, Oliver Ekman-Larsson is 4th on the team. He averages over 21 minutes a game for Toronto.
Yeah, that's too much for me.
That's a lot of hockey for OEL. Guy who's been...
Well, I mean,
and he plays hard.
Yeah.
He plays hard. He finishes. He's engaged constantly. So maybe just a little bit of a letdown in Florida.
He's playing almost 2 minutes more per game than Tanev, which...
And there's a clear drop from, like, they have their top 4 guys who play all the time, and then they have sort of the Timmins pair, and Benoit's been playing with him, but it's very clear that he's in that group. So that's probably why, like, they signed him, they paid him $3.5 million. I think that's what they thought they were going to get from him, right?
Yeah,
they were going to play him that much.
To your point, while we're talking about gaps in ice time, the top 4D are obviously McCabe, Riley, OEL, and Tanev, and then the drop between Tanev and number 5 at Timmins is 3 minutes per game.
Yeah, so he's in that group.
Yeah.
But anyways.
4 guys.
Okay, we got a Craig Berube Kyper's Clipper on Bedard going into tonight.
He's warming up.
Let's just see what Coach Berube has to say.
Elite shooter, does a lot of little things with his shot, push and pull stuff, and it gets through all the time. He's got an elite shot and really good vision. Like he sees the ice very well and knows where people are and can make plays. He's going to be a good player. He is a good player, and he's only going to get better.
I love the push and pull. Love that.
Yeah. He barely scored in November. He had 1 goal the whole month, and it was towards the end. But now he has, 4 points in his last 3 games, starting to play a little better.
I know he's struggled, but he's the type of guy that could show up tonight on a big stage.
Yeah.
Oh, Amazon Prime hockey. Big stage.
Played well in Edmonton. We're going to get we'll get Darren Pang's thought on it, but I kind of told you guys a long time ago, you got to be careful. Too much too soon. I think that's all that's happened to this kid, and I think
But he's got no one to work with.
I think yeah, I know.
They stink.
He was born in the year 2005.
I totally get what you're saying, but there has to be a greater picture here too. I think there's times when he's turned the puck over, and usually a 19-year-old or 20-year-old that isn't labeled generational has to sit his ass on the bench and miss a few shifts or get called into the office and look at video. And not saying that that doesn't happen, but it has to come with a bit of a
It's
we're not
different.
happy with you feel.
It's different.
And it's different for him.
You have to live with more mistakes.
I think that's going on in that dressing room right now.
People frustrated with it?
Well, I think sometimes you can look around the room and say there's different rules for different guys, and then there's other times when you go, okay, enough's enough.
Mm-hmm. Like, I get different rules for different guys, but if you feel like it's getting out of hand, he's taking too much liberty with it, maybe that can be a thing. It's also, I think, hard. He is 19 years old and second year in the league. The team's near the bottom of the league, so he's in his own zone a lot. I think it's A, hard to have success, and then B, hard to go in the dressing room when you're doing commercials for 6 brands. And they're like, you're the guy who's supposed to pull us out of this. And you're like, I'm still 19. It's like, well, you can't have it both ways.
I'm just a baby.
Yeah.
And I got a free car.
Yeah.
Nah.
They're like, you're either supposed to be able to fix it or not do the commercial.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. We'll get into all of that and more with Darren Pang, Blackhawks analyst. They go tonight, 7:30, Scotiabank Arena. Back after these words. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, and Sammy McKee. All right, let's get to him right away because this is a guy that carried me for a few years at Sportsnet here. Let's welcome in Darren Pang, the voice now of the Chicago Blackhawks. Panger, how are you, pal?
I never carried you at all, Kyper. You carried me right to your, right to the basement of your house where we drank wine and hit golf balls in the simulator.
That was a memorable night.
Yeah, that was fantastic. How you doing there, Borny? How's everything going for you?
Hi.
Yes, you're ready to go here.
Well, it is Monday night hockey at Maple Leaf Gardens.
There you
It's
go.
not Maple Leaf Gardens.
There you go.
It's not Saturday night, but it's still good.
You're following now, as well as your national gig with TNT, you follow the Chicago Blackhawks extensively here. So let me just ask you, just before we get into specifics, including Connor Bedard, of course, just the overall feel of this season at 8-14-2. They haven't had a real sense of being a playoff team, and we'll exclude the pandemic and all of this for a very long time. So at 8-14-2, where is everybody in Chicago on? Are they where they need to be, or is this a very disappointing start to the season?
You know, I think it's disappointing in the fact that, Kyper, that the wins haven't been there, because if you look even closer to, the actual numbers or the actual one-loss record, I mean, they've been in every game in the third period, I believe 23 of 24 games right there. So what I'm saying is the games have been tighter than what you might think. They've given up 9 or 10 empty net goals. So that goes with your goals for, goals against, 5-on-5 and overall totals. They just haven't been on the winning side of that. They've only come back trailing going into the third period once. It was in LA. They trailed 3-0, Kyper. So, but I'll say that and kind of put that in the proper context, because I people see a record and they think, oh, they must be getting blown out. It's just not going very well. But they're trying to build the right culture. They're trying to build it with guys that have won before, like Alec Martinez and Pat Maroon. Craig Smith's played with a ton of really good teams and playoff caliber teams throughout his entire career. TJ Brody's been there long enough that you guys know enough about TJ and his experience. So I guess where I'm getting to is, did they think they were going to be better in the numbers? Yeah. And do I think they should be? Yeah, I do. Actually, Kyper, I think the numbers should be better. This should be, at worst, for me, the way they've played, a 500 hockey team at worst. So, yeah. So I guess, they've added older players. They added, some guys that could help out young players like Connor Bedard and Lucas Reichel and Alex Vlasic. And, we got young defensemen as well. And I know they were looking for better numbers or better results at this particular point, but they're building.
So, they have been in a lot of close hockey games and just kind of looking for a little bit more offense at times. Natural question is to go to Bedard on this. He's 19 points in 24 games. Seems like he's finding it the past few games. Where is Bedard at in his evolution to one of the league's finer players?
Yeah, and you know what, Justin, this is what I love about Connor is that, he's taken this on the chin. He takes it personally. He doesn't go home and fluff it off and play video games. I mean, this kid just thinks, eats, breathes, dreams about being a winner. And so I know that he went through a rugged, 2 to 3 weeks where you guys probably saw some of his quotes where he was pretty open about what he wasn't doing well. And so, is he right now, I think his last 3 games, you'll see him tonight. He's making plays. His stick handling ability in traffic, is, I think, much improved from last year. I would have to say this, watching all these games, that if there's one area that he could improve on to make himself a faster player, and that is more of a give and go game. And I think he'll learn that, Justin, in time. Just when to move that puck through the neutral zone, play it to somebody ahead of him instead of carrying it all the way and then slowing everything down and waiting for a pass that's behind everybody instead of maybe going forward. So these are constant reminders that Luke Richardson and his teammates, the older guys like Nick Foligno, constantly, give to him to want to make him a better hockey player. So the little tricks of the trades are things that he's gonna learn along the way.
Panger, I want to just follow up Bedard with maybe just what he's feeling today and what he's felt for the past year and change here. I get the buildup of a generational player. We don't get to say it that often, but we certainly did it big time here in this country as he started his career in Chicago. He gets there. And this is not necessarily a reflection of Chicago, but just maybe us in general as a business or as a league business, to put so much weight on this player to dig out an original six team out of the basement, be a face for them, be that next generation past McDavid. And is it caught up to him at all at this point?
You know what, Kyper? He's really good at taking on this responsibility. I'm pretty shocked by, as a young man, how he's been able to handle it. Is it fair? Hey, Kyper, I don't believe it's fair at all. But it's the way it is right now. We've seen videos of him since he was 12 or 13, playing up in Burnaby and playing in the Brick tournament, and and then he followed it up with really great 3 years on a bad team in Regina. And then he sets records for the World Junior Canadian team. So why wouldn't we think, as you compare him to all the other greats? I'm just saying it's not fair because he's just a different player. He doesn't skate a million miles an hour like Connor McDavid. He's not big and strong like Austin Matthews. He's not no one's Wayne Gretzky, so let's leave him alone. But he's like, he's a shooting. He's a guy that creates stuff through the rush and is a shooting machine. And so, I mean, those are the assets that he has and has brought to the table, Kyper. And we put him on a pedestal. He's in Chicago Magazine. You go to the grocery store, there's Connor right there. Is it his fault? Not whatsoever. They're selling tons of 98 sweaters. Every kid around the league, when you go through the warm-ups, all you see is, can I get a puck, Connor Bedard? I love you, number 98. Let's play rock, paper, scissors. I mean, it's constant. So for him to play, especially last year, as well as he played last year in his first year, and then in the sophomore year, people are going to go after him a little bit more, play him a lot harder, that it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But he carries it like the great players have carried it before, and does the interviews and does the work that everybody else has done before him at a young age. So, but again, is it fair? No, because I'll even go to one example. Okay, the Four Nations is a very good example of this. There are so many great players in our game. You can only name 13, 7, and 3 on that team. Yep. And yet every time I looked up in Canada, it was like, Connor was automatically there right away. And that might have put extra pressure on him as well, thinking, man, I'm on this team with all these, these guys they're the greats of the greats right now. And they're not even in their prime yet. And he's only in his, half of his second year. So that kind of is a little unfair to both the coaches, the managers, and everybody else, for people to expect that he's going to be on that team, which, we pour through the list. There's a lot of guys that deserve to be on that team. Yeah. And I think Connor would probably say, man, I'm not one of those guys right now at this particular point. Whether he makes or not, I'm not sure. But I'm just saying that was one of those things that I looked at too, that said, wow, that's an awful lot to just throw out there like it's an automatic, when you have to earn the space on that team, in my opinion. And right now, I think there's other guys. So what I'm saying to everybody is, would it surprise me if he was on the team? Not really, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's not on that team either, because of the way other guys have played. For sure. Deserve a spot.
For sure. So, looking at the arc of the Chicago Blackhawks rebuild, obviously there's got to be young players that are coming up that they're, kind of seeing as their future. And then they're trying to surround them with some older guys, some veterans, some proven guys. I look at this Blackhawks lineup. It's not laden with young prospects below Bedard on the lineup. Are they on the way? Is there enough in the lineup for them to have a bright future in the years ahead here?
Well, I think one of the main things, Justin, was to make sure that the guys like Frank Nazar or upcoming players like that aren't just anointed to this roster.
Sure, yeah, he's lighting it up in the American League, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And Connor's special, and it's a specialty. And he comes in, he's not making the team. I mean, he was making the team, come hell or high water, that he was on that team. And so, but they want to make sure that everybody else marinates in the minors. Like even Alex Vlasic only played 1 year. When do you see this horse? Big number 72. Like we got Nolan Allen. There was a last pick of the first round. You've got Wyatt Kaiser. That's a really good defenseman. They're all young players. But as far as the forward group is concerned, if you don't fill up the roster with guys that have experience, guys like Teravainen or guys like Tyler Bertuzzi would be the youngest of the group, to go along with other players that are on expiring contracts. The guys that you look at is Lucas Reichel, you look at Philip Kurashev, that's the group right there, that's going to be with Connor Bedard, going forward, along with the fellas that I say. And all you have to do is look at the minors. Artie Levshinov, the defenseman, 2nd overall pick, he's down in Chicago. You've got Nazar, like I'm saying, is down in Chicago. So, I think Kyle Davidson is doing a good job of saying we do not want to put these guys ahead. We do not want to anoint them. And that's why we got these older players, is to teach and groom and cultivate something that reminds people of winning and having character and being able to go out in the media and speak and represent the franchise well. So yeah, that would be my best answer on that.
So Panger, if I would have told you at the beginning of the year that up until this point going into December, the MVP of the team wouldn't have been Connor Bedard, but Peter Mrazek, you would have looked at me like I had 3 heads?
I've looked at you like that before. But you know what, Kyper? Yeah, I think people would be surprised. But last year, Mrazek was the MVP last year for me. He and Vlasic and Connor, but Connor missed 14 games. And, I thought Foligno last year played such a pivotal role. And Jason Dickinson had a career year with 22 goals and checks the other team's best players every single night. But yeah, for people that don't know, like Soderblom's going to play tonight. They average 2 goals for or fewer for both these goaltenders on a nightly basis, except for last night against Columbus, and that was maybe Peter's worst game of the year. And I think he's just a little out of gas, but the goaltending has been fine. In fact, I would say the goaltending has been spectacular at this particular point. Just got to score more goals. The power play is now is red hot, but it was a little quiet. They were only generating 1 power play per game for 5 straight games. It's a all-time Hawks record for fewest power play opportunities as an average in a 5-game span.
Panger, we're going to let you go.
Thanks, buddy.
Have a great night tonight. Say hello to our good friend Rick Ball for us.
I will
How's he
say hello
doing?
to Rick Ball.
Yeah.
I made him go to practice today.
Good.
Rick is fantastic. It's a great acquisition for us, and for me personally, he's so experienced, such a nice guy. We go for dinners. He loves his red wine. He loves his steak. He eats too much steak. I got to get him off that a little bit. But no, he's been fantastic. So thanks for sending another great Sportsnet talent over here to the United States of America with me.
Have a great call, pal. All the best.
Thanks.
Thanks,
That
Panger.
is Darren Pang, analyst with the Chicago Blackhawks and TNT.
Rick Ball has been in Calgary for however many years.
Yeah.
You're going to eat some red meat. That's
Yes.
a prerequisite.
Rick Ball, one of my faves, calls a hell of a game.
Grew up in Kelowna when he was just starting out.
Oh, really?
He was,
Yep.
That's on the ball. I'm Rick Ball.
Really?
That was
Oh,
his little
I'm sure he
segment in
loves
the-
that.
Got to read for us?
I got to read. You guys ready?
Yes,
Here we
sir.
go.
As ready as we can be.
Okay. All right. You got to rate this one out of 10 by the time I'm done. Who wants to win a bunch of cash while doing the best thing this holiday season?
JB and I.
It's Sportsnet 590 The Fans 50-50 Fortune supporting food for kids. Here's what you need to know. We've created a 50-50 lottery where the more money we raise, the more kids we can feed in the GTA, and the more money you can win. The current take-home prize is over $363,000, boys.
Ooh, boy.
Someone is going to win that jackpot on Thursday, December 19th. And if you get your tickets early, there are more amazing early bird prizes, including 2 sports packages. One is a pair of tickets to an upcoming Leaf game and a signed William Nylander jersey. And the second is a pair of tickets to a Jays game and a signed George Springer jersey. Get your tickets by Friday, December 6th at 9 a.m. for the chance to win. For more details and to buy your tickets, go to foodforkids5050.ca or text the word cash to 590-590, and we'll send the link right to your phone. It's a 50-50 fortune supporting food for kids. Standard message and data rates apply. Ontario only.
Nice job, Sammy.
Good job, Samuel.
Oh, boy. I was holding on for dear life.
You
there,
nailed it.
boys.
Terrific job.
A lot of the former Leafs.
We got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
What did you get out of listening to Darren Pang talk about Connor Bedard?
I think how impressed he is with him as like a pro and being groomed to be this next one, which is certainly part of it. I take it you took something different.
Yeah, it kind of caught me a little bit off guard when he referred to him as slow. He needs to be faster, I think, is what Panger said,
Yep.
which means to me, he's saying he's a little too slow.
Yeah, he referred to working on the give and go game, which also implies that I don't know if you love the people you're playing with, you feel like you can't get it back if you give it up, and that's part of speed too.
See, I see it differently, but I'm not saying that you're not you're wrong on this. You're probably right, but I also get from that is, hey, buddy, what you did in junior and what you worked at the World Juniors where you just got to dance around everybody ain't working.
No.
This is the best league in the world, and you don't have the time and space that you had in junior. So better learn the give and go because the other stuff ain't working.
I watched some highlights of him today, knowing we'd be watching him tonight, and he is one of those guys that, like Mitch Marner, who is so confident when he has the puck, just like he just has it, right? Like he'll have it for longer periods of time than someone else. But in Bedard's case, it's not getting anywhere. He has it out on the paint, out on the yellow, and we talked about Berube, talking about Robertson getting to the inside. So you got to find your way in. Well, like teams now, they'll let you have it out there. Go ahead. You can play with it.
The most recent game they lost against Columbus.
Yeah.
I watched him go down on a 2-on-1 where his feet stopped moving just a little over the red line
track,
and was looking past the whole time. And he did pass it. But your shot is world class here. Like nobody wants to see Ohtani get called on a third strike pitch.
No one wants to see him hit a
single.
No bunts for Ohtani.
But the last thing you can't do is not shoot the puck, Connor, when you are in your prime area. And that just speaks to the lack of confidence that he has, that he wouldn't recognize that as my wheelhouse. This is what I'm supposed to do, shoot the puck.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's, we saw Nick Robertson do that the other day on a 2-on-1 where it's like, dude, that's the thing you do. Shoot it from that spot. It's
hat trick incoming for Bedard tonight. A lot of former Leafs in this team.
So we should clarify the Blackhawks on a back-to-back.
Yeah.
And missing a
Seth
body.
Jones.
Seth Jones.
I think he's still hurt.
It should be a night where the Leafs can handle themselves. Go ahead on the Leafs thing, though. It's interesting. Who they got?
Bertuzzi.
Yeah.
Foligno. TJ Brody.
Yeah.
Ili Mikheyev.
Wow.
And obviously Peter Mrazek, but he's not playing tonight.
Mrazek a 908 this year for
I think
them.
Bertuzzi and Bedard are playing together tonight with Taylor Hall, which go big or go home. I mean, that's
their
that's your meat and potatoes right there.
Hall had a hat trick the other night. I've never been a huge Hall guy, but hat trick the other night, maybe they're all getting hot at the right time.
Bertuzzi,
I say is that Bedard was dash for last game.
Bertuzzi will score tonight.
You
They
think?
can't all score.
No,
Can't have a
Bertuzzi
hat trick for him and one
Bertuzzi
for
will
Bert.
score.
Sammy,
If Brody
are you
gets
calling
one.
for a Blackhawk win tonight?
Could use one. Little shake. Just shake up the bird
Sammy.
cage a little bit.
Knock it off.
Nah,
They should win tonight.
easily.
All right. Once again, our thanks to Darren Pang for joining us on our Leaf Hour. Don't go away. We go national next. Don Waddell, president of hockey operations for the Columbus Blue Jackets, will join us. He just completed a pretty big trade. We'll tell you all about it when we return. All right, let's bring it in for our national edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in President of Hockey Operations, General Manager for the Columbus Blue Jackets, Don Waddell. He just completed a trade with his 2022 first round pick,
High
sixth
pick.
overall.
Yeah.
Like, this is nothing to sneeze at here.
No.
This is a significant piece that may have well started the trade deadline market. So we'll get his thoughts on that, including his hot team at 6-1-1. In the meantime,
In their last 8 games.
what was
They're
that,
like-
Sammy?
In their last 8 games.
In their last
Yeah.
8 games.
Yeah.
The Blue Jackets +3 goal differential, 11-9-3 on the season. Like they're not far out of a playoff spot,
Yep.
boys.
There's a lot of surprising teams at the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings. Like if you look at it, like Buffalo's floating around there. The Flyers are hot recently. They're floating around there. And then, you scroll down a little further and you find the 2 Canadian teams in the Atlantic Division, but I don't think I too much of that today.
In the meantime, we'll hear officially this week the rosters for 4 teams participating in the Four Nations tournament that the league will shut down in February for
We only care about one, though.
3 weeks. Now, there's going to be a lot of speculation up until that. Players have been told.
Have they all been told?
They've been told. The alternates have been told.
They shouldn't have done that.
So-
Alternates have been told.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one.
So
Hey?
it's
Get the
going to
call?
be really hard. I know some of the networks want to keep it a secret and reveal it later on. I get it.
You mean our network and you are going to expose the team members? Is that
I don't think I'm on any show like that. So
I'm not, but it's hard to believe that, a guy like Mitch Marner wasn't told in Florida with Cooper right there.
Reported first by me,
No.
Mitch Martin on Team Canada.
But we also, the internet's going crazy because the Flyers got together at center ice with Tortorella, and a few players seemed like to be singled out. So good on them if they can keep it a secret here, but it's a few players I think
they know.
and the ones on the internet are Sanheim, which would be
Travis Sanheim and
would be a
Konechny.
bit of a surprise, and Konechny.
Yeah, that would be a legitimate surprise, but Konechny's not. Konechny makes a lot of sense. Great season, great year last year.
Well, come on. If we've talked about role players and guys that don't necessarily fit into a top 6, that would be a perfect guy.
can still get offense
Sam
there.
Bennett would be a perfect guy. Those are the role
Has he been
players
told?
that you need.
Has he been told?
I don't know.
Call
I
him.
legitimately don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. either.
Okay.
Take it easy, Sam. You want to get me in trouble with the guys upstairs?
No, you're not listening, brother. You're fine. Just tell us the whole team. You know the team.
Nobody pays attention to our show.
It would be,
You know, though.
yeah, like it's going to be a fascinating thing because we have a show tomorrow night. No, Wednesday night announcing the teams. I believe.
Yeah.
Revealing the team.
Yeah. And we're
It's going to be
I think
really
It's
crazy.
not tomorrow?
no, I
I
think
think it's Wednesday.
I think
it's tomorrow.
Swede
Yeah, it's Sweden and Finland come
and
out tomorrow.
Finland.
So, like, can everyone hang on to this? Whoever knows, I don't know. For 2 days, we'll see. I hope so.
We shall see.
Yeah. All right.
But there's some teams.
Sanheim surprise you? Are you shocked? Are you
Okay, like
6'4", 222?
first of all, okay, we'll get into that
All
after
right,
because we got our special guest waiting for us, Don Waddell, whose team is hot as a firecracker right now. Don, thanks for joining us. It's just not that you're 6-1-1, but you made a very significant trade to, I don't know, set the market up for the remaining teams going into March. But I mean, maybe I'm not phrasing this correctly, and if I'm not, please, I apologize to you now. But we don't often see top 10 picks moved 2 years later. So if this is not the right phrase, correct me, but how do you quit on a guy 6th overall 2 years ago?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. First of all, I never ever disagree with anything you say, Nick. But you got to look at the player. I think is going to have some success. There's no doubt about it. He's got some skill in that. But with training camp, how it went and the games he went, we, as a group, we got together and said, we got to put him down in the American League and let him play. And
you never know how it's going to go. We felt that the asset value may maintain if he plays well, but it could decrease also. So at some point, you have to make those tough decisions of saying, let's cut, the 6th overall pick, and let's get the assets that we can get. And for us right now, we need assets. We need to, and these assets aren't so much even for drafting players, but it's for trying to make our team better. And we don't want to trade our first pick. Obviously, we think it could be pretty high eventually, but to have another first round pick and other picks, that's how you get to the draft. Everybody's always looking for draft picks, so we feel like having these kind of assets in the bank are going to help us make our team better today.
So that's, you have a long-term vision for the organization. You guys are having quite a bit of success this year, Don. What sort of arc do you see for the Blue Jackets on your way to being the cup contenders you want to be?
Well, we got to keep building with our young players. We got some tremendous young players and supplement them with some great veterans. Like we signed Monahan, and Werenski's having a unbelievable season. So, you got to stick with your young guys that we have on our roster and, surround them with the players. But, this year's been interesting because we've got goal scoring from everybody. We've scored a lot of goals. It's amazing. We played Chicago yesterday, and we had 6 goals, 6 different players scored those goals. And I think as of today, our defense is leading the league in goals, which is something I didn't expect when we started the season. I thought goal scorer was going to be at a premium for us, and somehow we're finding ways every night to score a lot of goals.
Multiple picks, Don, in the trade coming back to you. You mentioned that you want to make it, these picks will help your team get better. Do you envision using them at the draft table? Can you flip them as early as this year and get a rate of return back quicker for you? Is that a possibility?
100%. We actually we made the trade on Saturday, and I've talked to probably 7 teams since. We have a couple things going for us. We have a lot of assets, and we got a lot of cap. And today's day, cap is pretty important as we go into not only this season, but next year we're going to have, $27 million of cap space. So, it's not always building your team through free agency. I think having the assets, you get to the draft, people are looking for picks, and there's always some RFAs that either teams can't afford anymore, don't want to go to arbitration. So I think the possibilities are endless as you look at this.
Don, 2-part question here. Number 1 is, how many teams did you have on Jiříček bidding? And number 2, is there a sense that this will be a very healthy market with the potential of the cap going up quickly in the next few years?
Yeah, at first, we probably had 13, 14 teams reach out to us, and we did our homework on all those teams. And we looked at, our first goal was to see if we could get a equal prospect that, or a young player playing the NHL that we could put right in our lineup or put in our lineup a few years from now. And that seemed to go by the side. Just couldn't get those guys. We asked about all of them. And so then we turned to picks, and certainly Minnesota stepped up at the end and really wanted to play her. But, as far as moving forward, was it more about the cap, Nick? You're saying?
Just that the cap, the revenue will push the cap up towards $100 million in the next few years here. And if that changes the attitude about going into this year's trade deadline.
Yeah, no, and then I've been talking to teams right now that have cap problems that are trying to clear cap. I think, for us, we got strong ownership here in Columbus that will support whatever we want to do. We got to be smart about it. We'll have, if you look at some of the players currently on our roster, the Adam Fantillis and Kent Johnsons and so forth, we're going to have to pay some money in the upcoming year. So we just got to make sure we plan it out correctly, not spend money that we might need in the future. But I think we're in a great shape from that end. And I think with some of the young players, as I said, I think being able to surround those players with some maybe veteran players or younger players for however they become available, we're going to be in a great situation to add them.
Looking at the multitude of reasons you guys have had success this year, you got some new coaches in, obviously. Werenski having a nice year. You mentioned all the goals from your D. What do you attribute the success for by and large?
Well, I think Dean's got to get a lot of credit here. Dean's come in here with a great attitude. Both of us coming in here new. We both said we don't care what's happened in the past. We're all we're looking at is the future, and the future started the day training camp started. So I think the atmosphere that we've created and the culture that is happening. We had a tough situation, and I really give a lot of credit to the Monahans and Boone Jenners and Eric Robertson and Renski, the team leaders, of how they brought this group together, because obviously when training camp started, we didn't know which way this was going to go. But the guys, they love to be together. They love to be at the rink. And, guys like Boone and Eric Brunson are traveling with our team out west here right now. They just want to be a part of it. So I think we got a great environment going, and that's what we got to build off of.
Watching your game the other night against Chicago and watching Zach Werenski, +3, 2 assists, almost 26, 27 minutes. And I'm thinking that's a hell of a defenseman. That guy, I don't think gets the credit he deserves. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to see him on Team USA in February, but there's another guy you could build around.
100%. And, he's such a good guy, and he just wants to win. And I think he's got, like you said, 26 points in 23 games, and he's been our leader offensively. What amazes me is, and you probably watch a game yesterday, Nick, you see him behind the offensive team net multiple times, and then as the rush comes back, he always seems to get back and catch up with the play. So he's such a great skater, and the way he thinks his game is incredible. But certainly, we have him locked up for 3 or 4 more years, and he's going to be the catalyst for us on defense and continue to lead us for sure.
And you guys, as you head into the future here, believe that the goaltending you have is the goaltending you're going to be leaning on when on your journey back to that Cup contender?
Yeah, there's been a lot of play about Elvis. He came in the league, had some very good years, and then, the last few years haven't gone as well. And, the message to Elvis was, he'd gone a little sideways with some of his teammates, and, they got carried away at times. And my message to him, my first meeting in August with him, is, I don't care if you stop a puck, just be a great teammate. If you're a great teammate, the rest will come easier. Teammates will want to play for you and all that. And as this training camp went on, and as we got into the season, he's been nothing but a great teammate. And to me, I think that's led to his success, being able to stop the puck.
As far as the rest of the young talent that's built around this team as well, Fantilli and Kent Johnson, can you give us a bit of an update on where you see them now? Because Kent Johnson was kind of in that spot that Jiříček may have found himself, where he was up and down a little bit here. But overall, how have you seen their progress, Don?
Yeah. With Kent, he came to training camp. I talked to all the players during the summer, and he was determined. He had a tough season last year with some injuries and up and down, and he was determined to come to camp and prove that he's an NHL player. And he had a tremendous camp. Came in great condition. Started off, played the first 3 or 4 games, was our leading scorer, and then got hurt, unfortunately. Then since he's been back, I can't say enough good things about him. But the one thing about him and Adam too is, these guys just love to be on the ice. They're on the ice early for practice. They're out there late, playing around pucks, shooting pucks. And to me, they're pure hockey players. They want to be hockey players, and they work at it to be a hockey player. So. And Adam's a little frustrated initially. Didn't have a lot of line mates with Kent being out, us losing Boone Jenner to a shoulder. But, he's been so good in every aspect of the game. And just recently here is starting to put some pucks in the net. And I would say he's been one of our more effective forwards, maybe not just always on the scoreboard, but shutting down other teams. He plays against the other team's best lines each and every night.
So, Don, for people who don't watch the Blue Jackets, like when I tune in and watch, sometimes I'm shocked at how fast Chinnikov is. I'm shocked at how effective Voronkov is at that size. Who do you think is maybe the more unsung yet effective Blue Jackets player that people don't talk about much?
Yeah, well, 2 names you mentioned. Chinnikov's got the hardest shot on the team and can skate, and Voronkov is, was hurt off the beginning of the year, but he's come back, and with that frame that he's got, 6'4", 6'5", and you can't move him, and he's got some meanness to him too. But Marchie's been really good for us. I think he's our leading scorer. I think people don't talk about him at all, but each and every night when he gets a chance, he can score goals. And and then you look back, even a little further on the blue line with, a guy like Christensen, who nobody knew about, playing American League the last couple of years, got this opportunity this year, and he's played big minutes for us. And the other guy we picked up, Fabro from Nashville on waivers. He's got 3 goals plus 14 since he's been here. He's been a steady influence for us on the right side, playing with Zach.
And a pending UFA, if I'm not mistaken, Don, and you've got a few of them. I can see, including Sean Crawley, who's had tremendous success in Boston in come playoff time. Provorov's another one, and just your thoughts going into the trade deadline, and ultimately whether you're going to keep some of these guys or not moving forward. Olivier, one of my favorites right now. Big goal scorer, tough guy, does it all. You got to sign him, Don.
Yeah, that'll come out of my paycheck to get his contract done for sure. Because he's got 7 goals. His career high is 5, but he's getting the goals because he's trusted. He's a trusted player. Dean really trusts him. Playing him on the 3rd line, playing a lot more minutes he's ever played. In the past, he's played that 4th line, expected to go out and tangle every time he gets on the ice. He can play, and that's been fun. He's an unbelievable character guy that stands up in the room and talks to the players, and certainly an important piece of how we've gotten this far, and 100% will get him signed eventually. Provorov he's played really good for us. I get a lot of calls on him, and we're not in a position where we're going to be moving UFAs. Every one of our UFAs at some point will have conversations with their agents just to see where they're at, if they want to stay or if they want to potentially move on. But I've told everybody it's called. Let's circle back in early part of next year, and we'll see where we're at that point, and we can talk about it. But Olivier, I guarantee you, is not going anywhere.
Don, great job getting the trade market going for us. You know what it's like up here.
I know. I follow it pretty closely, and I had a few phone calls today, so stay tuned. Maybe we'll make something happen.
I love it.
So.
All right.
I love it.
Keep you guys busy.
Don, thanks for making time for us. We really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to be with you guys. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
That is Don Waddell, President of Hockey Operations, General Manager of the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's some good stuff he gave us.
I love it.
Really good. Really, it really feels like there's a plan coming together in Columbus, and I don't know that it's felt like that.
Again, talking to Doug McLean, which we often on Fridays, he just cannot speak highly enough of that market and the passion that people have. And of course, we know what football means there, but
They had a bad day on Saturday.
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah, they sure did. But
Boy.
their Columbus Blue Jackets are hot as a firecracker right now. So
Yeah, you named a couple guys that are really good for them. Like Werenski's having an unbelievable year. One of the best D in the league this year.
he's so good.
Yeah.
And he's
never healthy.
he's an afterthought.
Yeah.
And then if you go back a few years ago, it was like Seth Jones's team.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of like the second
Yeah.
banana there.
Yeah.
And now he's like no questions asked. Seth is hurt now for Chicago, and we'll see if he ends up staying and anchoring the Chicago Blackhawks, or could they potentially move him? But Werenski, pretty good decision to keep him.
Yeah, I just need him to stay healthy, like I said, and he's been super effective. He had a Gordie Howe the other night, beat up Brandon Gallagher.
Yeah.
Fully entertaining player right now, a lot of points. This Voronkov he talked about, 6'5", 230. He's got 10 points in his last 8 games. Got a bit of a mean streak, 24 years old. Like, this is a hockey player.
Yeah, I like a lot of their young guys.
Yeah.
I like Kent Johnson a lot. I mean, Fantilli, they're good World Junior players.
I like
They're good
Fantilli,
junior
yeah.
players.
Yeah.
And Kent Johnson, he's, I think, 6 goals in 9 games so far this year. He's really starting to come on.
Yeah.
This team is 6th in the NHL in goals for per game. I was just playing around with goals for.
They've beat a lot of good teams. Like, I forget that you rattled off the teams that they've beaten. It's like
They killed me in my survivor pool.
Yeah.
They went through Tampa Bay, Carolina, Boston. But in terms of goals for in the NHL, they're 6th. The bottom 5 teams in the league: Nashville, dead last, Boston Bruins, St. Louis Blues, Blackhawks, and the Flames. Meanwhile, Columbus is 6th in goals, 3.6 goals a game. Wild.
So, yeah, and, you can't overstate what a horrific tragedy started for them at the start, the start of the year. Like, and, that's...
We barely mentioned that,
Yeah,
which is crazy
Yeah,
considering
what is there? to say about it.
Well,
like,
that's right.
yeah, it's not a question you really want to ask. But for them, the thing he said was that stuck out to me is that it could have gone either way.
Mm-hmm.
Where like you either are totally just in the
Right to
tank
hero.
and it's totally understandable, or it or guys kind of come together and good leadership and good coaching, and it kind of brings everybody's coming together and playing well together. Like, I'm rooting for them.
Mhm.
I love it. I love that they're good.
Same.
Just
Well,
what,
it's
2
a
points
story.
behind a wild card spot now.
Emotional night
Flyers.
coming up in Calgary tomorrow night. They're there, so it'll be
Yeah.
emotional night for them.
Yeah, his dad, Goodrow's dad, was on the ice
Yeah.
with the Flames
Yeah.
today, which is nice
Yeah.
touch. So that'll be
Well,
must
and
watch.
where do we have the Rangers? Because they've made a lot of noise this past week, and Columbus would be chasing, I think, them and obviously the Flyers who hold the wild card spot. But, like,
It is.
do the Rangers
Big one for the
really
Rangers
need to
tonight.
fall off the face of the earth here to allow teams like Buffalo, the Islanders, and Columbus to pass them?
It is wild that we just did what we did about Columbus. Praise, 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 praise. The Rangers are ahead of them, in every, statistical measure here or whatever, and they are just ripe for a blow up. Like, the worst part about the Rangers, Kip, is like the future is not that bright, considering some of the arc of the age of the guys, and they're gonna have to pay Shesterkin. Like,
I just don't know how you could start discussing trading Chris Kreider without usually when you hear someone their name out there, it's because there's a lot of smoke coming out underneath. So you almost instantly, one insider, somebody with some credibility, will automatically link somebody of that stature with another team, but there just doesn't seem to be any of that.
Mhm.
And it's not that I think that the Rangers are full of crap here and they're just throwing his name out for the sake of throwing it out. I believe that they'd like to move him right now. They would. I think they're legitimate
they
on
want
that.
to change their core. They want to change their makeup.
But it doesn't sound like they have anything going. If you're going to throw his name out there, usually there's other teams linked to a player, and that's not the case. Like, we just had Don Waddell moments ago saying he had legitimately had 13 teams, 14 teams making inquiries on Jiříček.
Probably why he got such a good.
And we knew
I can't believe the
we knew
return they got.
we knew
Wow.
Minnesota was in it for sure. We knew Pittsburgh. We knew a few other teams, but like, there's nothing like that with Chris Kreider or even Trouba. To be honest with you, I've not heard anything.
I think it was in Elliott's 32 Thoughts. Excuse me if I'm wrong on that, but I thought it was mentioned somewhere that, like, Drury had sent out the email, the email to the other GMs. Like,
Yes.
a couple of guys
Yes.
might be available here.
He said that. I think he said that on maybe headlines on Saturday night. Maybe he said that.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
they're-
ping, you
so-
open
so
your
G-
Gmail and you're like, oh,
GMs
Interesting.
like, that's getting out every
GMs have a
time.
mass email they share with each other. And I don't know how often names get thrown out there, but when you're throwing them out there, it's usually it's going to get out.
We may trade Chris K. Oh, that's so obvious. The C. Kreider. Yeah. No,
But you mentioned that the Rangers are just like in a dogfight with a bad team every night. Like that game against the Habs, like they barely squeak by the Habs. They lose to the Flyers. Maybe not that bad, but they lose 5-2 to the Blues, 6-2 to the Oilers.
they're 13-9.
Yeah, but it doesn't look good.
No,
it doesn't look good ever.
It doesn't look good.
Like, Shesterkin covers up so much. He is so good.
Mhm.
And it's just every night he's bailing them out. Anyways, I don't know.
You think that changes anything with Shesterkin signing moving forward?
Well, I think it makes your team less appealing if it doesn't look like you're going to be committed to be successful in the short term. Sure, he wants
How
to
much
win
of a
Stanley
factor
Cup.
is that?
I just feel like you either love New York City, and you should, or you don't. And, like, if you're the starting goalie for the New York Rangers and you're in, like, you got to stay the starting goalie for the New York Rangers and hope they figure it out. Sam,
Shesterkin, you are a Vegas
think
Golden
it's
Knight.
too tough to pick who's going to be good in the league. You don't know. Golden Knights might stink next.
I think you're underestimating winning a championship.
But I just think you don't know who's going to be good. We do it every year.
But you try your
players.
best to forecast.
Yeah,
You
that's
do.
fine.
And if you talk to the Joe Thorntons of the world or the Henrik Lundqvists of the world, and
Joe tried to forecast and he came to Toronto. How'd that go?
But it was too late. It's too late. But I'm just saying that
Didn't check the radar on that forecast.
that hindsight's of course 2020, but
I know.
it hurts. It hurts them knowing that they don't know what it's like to win a Stanley Cup.
Of course, and I recognize it's monster, and to me, it's the most important thing.
But
it's just when you're a good team and you're in a good spot.
Yeah. But if the Rangers are going to go through the next 3 or 4 years and they decide to move on off of all these players, and it may take them a little while, they've already done that a couple times already.
Well, it's not helping their leverage in negotiations with him, because if he can suddenly say, I'm not so sure about this organization anymore, the price just went up again.
Big one tonight. Devils at MSG.
Yeah.
Big time rival going in there. The Devils hang a few on them. The crowd starts getting restless. People start getting mad. I watched them play
Draft up a letter.
I watched them play the Flyers on the Friday on Black Friday. It's like the Flyers look like, the Devils, the way they were flying up and down the ice. You see that fast team? I don't know. Like a scary one.
Is Kreider also, is he the guy that you want to get rid of? A big, strong, fast guy? How's Zibanejad doing for you?
So,
well, yeah, but who's taking that?
Play Chris Drury for me for a second here, JB.
Yeah.
And you're going to call what team to see if they're interested in Chris Kreider. And if I'm not mistaken, he's at $6.2 million for this year and next year, which isn't horrible. It's not like 8 or 9.
It's not like he's sitting on the bench. Doesn't he have 9 goals this year?
I got a couple.
He's not a loser.
I got a couple teams for you. How about
Do you
Dallas?
still want him?
Dallas.
Good pick.
Thank you. Dallas would be a team I would call.
Okay.
So
9 goals in 20 games.
Or the Jets. Those are 2 teams that I would call.
After a 40-goal season. Who wouldn't take him? What are we talking about?
What we're talking about is what are you getting back for that? What are you willing to?
Yeah.
Because it's a player of that stature
They want a player.
is usually, hey, our season's over. We're just going to take the assets and we're going to fight another day.
You want a hockey player.
But we've got the Rangers in the playoffs today, and therefore I want a $6 million guy back. I don't want a $6 million back. What am I selling to the Ranger fans while I'm still in the playoffs today?
No, you're right. That's a tough sell. Really tough if you don't get a player back. What I think can happen is you can get back high picks and trade the picks. Everyone wants picks. It's like its own currency in a way. And I think that's what Waddell, who we just had on, was talking about doing with Jiříček. Couldn't get back an equal prospect. Can you get back the picks that someone else will like for a deadline player?
So does it make sense to flip Nick Ehlers for Kreider?
That's a great suggestion. I think the dollars are pretty comparable.
Yeah, but
Damn, that's a good one, Gibby.
You're
I
locked
would
in.
do it if I was Winnipeg.
But you're locked in for another year. You guaranteed that Kreider's going to be 6.2 next year, but Ehlers is going to another level off of UFA.
Yeah, so you get another year of an effective player while you're kind of in a run here for
And
Winnipeg.
Can the Rangers squeeze that in?
What's Ehlers at? I can't
6
find
million
the Jets.
flat.
6 flat.
Yeah.
So yes, they can is the answer.
So does that do it for you? Does that do it for both teams?
I mean,
Yeah,
so Ehlers is 6 even. He's 28 years old. So
Chris Kreider's what, 30?
33.
It's, losing 5 years.
Losing 5 years, but do you feel like you're losing Ehlers? Ehlers has been playing 9 minutes a night. It's a joke, but 15 minutes a night for years as one of the highest points per 60 guys. I think he might be frustrated with his opportunity. I think that's a reasonable suggestion. But did that give you a better chance to win a cup this year? I mean, it might. He's a different type of player. I like Ehlers a lot.
Ehlers is good. Different type of player. Anyways, game time?
There is a limited trade list on it. I got to think, as an American player, Chris Kreider probably has multiple Canadian
I was gonna
teams.
say,
The Rangers to the Jets
Right.
is something Jacob Truba's experienced.
sorry, boys, not to be this guy, but usually no move clause. The first team on there is either Ottawa or Winnipeg, unfortunately.
You got to be honest about who you are in the league.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
reality.
I love our friends in Winnipeg,
Leafs
but
no different. They're a Canadian team.
All right, Sammy.
All right, it's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Like I mentioned to you there, the New Jersey Devils are at Madison Square Garden tonight to
What a
take
game. What a
on
game.
the Rangers. Huge one for
Huge.
and it is. Like the Rangers need this tonight. And it's plus 105. The Rangers are underdog at home, minus 125 for the Rangers. For the Devils. If you wanted to, I was thinking about betting on a Chris Kreider to score the first goal of the game tonight with all the rumors surrounding him. Give me Chris Kreider as the first goal scorer tonight at Madison Square Garden at plus 1,400. The Chicago Blackhawks coming into Toronto are a plus 350 underdog. The Leafs are minus 450 on home ice tonight.
The Leafs have lost this game for the last 4 years.
I got to tell you, the three of us sat in the alumni box and ate beautiful pork chops and
Lamb chops.
smoked or whatever it was, lamb chops, smoked salmon, and drank wonderful. I drank wonderful beers. You didn't.
chops. Come on, we're a little classier than that.
All right, Kippy. Whatever. We watched them
Love
lose.
a pork
We watched them lose this game.
Yeah.
This
and then
literal
we
game.
sat in the boardroom upstairs and watched them lose to Chicago again last year.
So maybe worth a sprinkle. Although it's second half of back to back, and
No, they should lose. Chicago should lose. For
And,
sure, but doesn't mean they will.
I was thinking about a revenge goal for Tyler Bertuzzi tonight. Like I mentioned, that is a plus 425 number for Tyler Bertuzzi to score against his former team, which feels almost inevitable, which a former Leaf always scores. They got a few picks. I don't think it's going to be TJ Brody, but maybe if you think that's going to happen.
Brody's plus 4 million.
I think it's plus 1,800 to score tonight. So if you want that to happen, you can bet on it. And that was game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
I do remember that night well in the alumni box because I think you stepped on Jack Valaquette's wife's foot.
Yeah.
No, that was the first year when I didn't get invited.
It was just you and me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's before
Stomped on
her toes.
before you trusted me in public settings, Kipper. That was when you invited.
Busted her bones. Just apologized, sweating all over her for the next 2 periods.
Oh, God.
Oh my
It
god.
was not good.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, Don Waddell wasn't the only one trading the other day. We'll tell you which backup goalies got swapped when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. A reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365. Vancouver Canucks making some noise, on the weekend.
Yeah.
Some good efforts.
Jake DeBrusk, hat-trick, OT
He
winner.
couldn't get out of the way and not score a goal. Like, that's every spot he was in was just perfect.
Sammy called him kind of finding it there a little bit, and he has. He looks like what they thought they were buying in sort of support scoring for them. So awesome news there.
Yeah, he's just been on fire. I mean, I would say the overtime goal, Husso, ping.
Oh, that's a good shot.
Leaning a little. It was a great shot, but I don't know, he was falling him into the corner. It was a great shot, but
Second career hat trick, 16th multi-goal game. Tied for the league lead in road goals with 10.
yeah, they had some crazy stats in that game. That was
Lankinen's the first goalie ever
Yeah.
to start a season with 10 straight
Yeah,
road wins.
correct.
10-0-0 on the road.
and Quinn Hughes sets the franchise record for assists, all in one game.
He sees it pretty good, eh?
God, he's a real pleasure to watch.
He is. He's one of the guys in the league that you buy a ticket because he's in the game.
Just controls it.
He just has it.
How do you like a top pair of him and Charlie McAvoy for USA?
McAvoy's a bum. What did he score? Twice yesterday?
He's very good too.
I'm watching Primo on his. Did you watch the wraparound goal he scored?
Yeah.
Yeah, not pretty.
Primo's
I know.
covering half of his body's covering no net on the short side.
Yeah.
I mean, once McAvoy saw how far he was off his post, it was like a done deal to wrap it around an empty net.
It's funny.
What is going on in Montreal?
Well, I was
Oh
just
my
going to say, we had Columbus on, who everyone thought was kind of going to bottom out, but there's a lot of optimism there in young players that are coming and a plan San Jose is better than I thought they were going to be by a great margin. Will Smith is good, and Celebrini and
Hey, before we move on,
Yeah.
I know that you're really going to care about this. Same with you, Kyper. Forward wearing number 2. Thoughts?
Don't like it.
Will Smith wearing number 2? Very weird.
Good for
Jarring.
him for
Jarring.
doing it.
Jarring.
But, looking at some of these other teams that are kind of having success from the basement, what is Montreal? How do they feel about where they're at? It's harder to see their plan for me, Kip. And is there going to be any changes or repercussions or anything? They're just kind of going ahead as is.
They reek.
Yeah.
Like,
Not great.
I'd be furious right now if I was a Montreal Canadian fan watching Columbus right now going, they're better than us, really?
La histoire du hockey.
Right?
No, you're right.
I remember talking to a scout when Kirby Doc went there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's times when there's flashes of really good Kirby, but he said like nothing more than a third line guy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which, if Doc was supposed to be an AHLer or a fourth line guy, that's pretty darn good. But I think expectations were out of line with his reality, maybe.
One goal in 24 games.
Wow.
That's
Slavkovsky's got 2 goals in 24 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Alex Newhook. No assists in 24 games.
No assists.
No assists in 24 games.
I just think
5 goals.
Lane Hutson's
5 points.
unbelievable. They got that going for him.
yeah, how many goals he got this year?
Yeah, well, he's got lots of assists.
Yeah, okay.
But 0
David.
But
Oh, yeah.
I
was the name?
hope it can turn around a little bit.
Me too.
They're not. This is going to be another high pick,
Eh,
but
they can
Yeah.
stay there.
I just don't think you can fly the plane into the ground from the start of the season. You're so bad, you need to start trying to get good players now to win more games to just kind of make the landing a little softer. I don't know.
No, it's ugly.
yesterday came off. Montreal's loss came off the heels of the 100th centennial anniversary of the Boston Bruins.
Yeah. Do you see that drone video?
I saw the drone video.
Buddy, how cool was that? They
It
had
was really cool. I suggest anybody gets a chance to find it on their laptop or phone.
flew the drone into
The building.
the building.
Or is
and-
that someone really fast on a camera?
Yeah, and flew it by Bobby Orr, looking at the Bobby Orr statue. Willie O'Ree looking at the Willie. Johnny Busick's in the video. They got the mascot going. Just so cool.
It's amazing. It's
Really?
an amazing video.
Technology.
And they,
Not always awful.
not to throw praise on the Boston Bruins, but I thought it was an awesome touch by Pasta to go out in the old Cooper bucket for warm up. I got to
For the
tell you,
100th
I
anniversary.
really did love that. I'm not one to toss compliments the way of the old Boston Bruins, but that's a good look.
That was really cool.
That old bucket's hilarious.
Are they going to be okay this year, you think? The Bruins?
Now they're in third place in the Atlantic.
You think
and they're minus 100
They're
goal
going to start
differential.
coming around here?
Yeah, probably.
Well, they're better than the bad teams. They're definitely better than the bad teams. They're probably better incrementally than the medium teams. So they're going to get their wins. The Atlantic Division is once again separated with the Canadians, Senators, Red Wings, and Bruins on the bottom right now. And Sabres on the bottom.
Oh, there we go.
There's a look. You feel like the Sabres have a chance to make some noise. I'm going to say it now. I hate to do this.
7 and 8 looking pretty familiar there.
I have given up on the Senators this year.
Of course.
I'm out. They're not going to make
God,
the
they
playoffs.
pushed so hard last night to get
They have good players.
an extra point against Anaheim, but lost it in the shootout.
To Anaheim.
To Anaheim.
There's a feel of being desperate right now. I think they know it's like another bad week could bury them to the point where they cannot dig themselves out of it.
No, and you just need to be good enough that you can talk yourself into it, make some trades at the deadline, compete, but you can't climb over 6 teams with, as the season starts to get away from you. It's like, certain teams have gotten off to a start that they can go 500, the Jets or whoever, just coasting.
Yeah.
And now the Sens again, it's like they got to climb a ladder, and they're not good enough to do that. They're good enough to compete, but
Their record since the Leafs lost, they beat the Leafs that game, is 2-5-2.
I saw, you see the play last night, and this is a obscure part of the game maybe, but Gudas hit, I believe, Pinto hit him hard, and then
Yeah.
someone else ran him. Cousins ran Gudis. Pinto ends up with a puck off of this and like a 3-on-1 rush. And it was like, oh, they're going to get it. And he just like backhanded it into traffic, and Anaheim went the other way. And I was like, it's bad hockey. That's just really bad.
They're just not great.
Pinto, I'm not sure about.
Did I get fooled this year? Did I say they're going to be in the playoffs before this? I don't think I did.
Elliott
Elliott did.
put his whole reputation on it.
Yeah, his whole reputation.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He'll never recover.
I'm ruined.
How will our boy Frege ever recover from making a preseason prediction?
Next to Mark Messier's guarantee game 6, this is really close.
Yeah. Well,
Elliott's Ottawa.
It's not over.
Yeah, it is. It is. I see what you're saying. Oh, but Habs are going to get Line A back tomorrow night, apparently. They sent down
That's good.
Sent down some walk kid, and they're going to put him in there. He'll help, I guess.
At
least fans will be more interested.
For Patrick Laine. I would
For
love
sure.
to see him go score a bunch of goals, open up room for people.
Also, seen on the ice is Ovechkin skating.
Did he?
He went for
go
a
to
little
Germany,
twirl.
or did he go to Moscow?
Since he's been out, they've won like 4 games in a row. Washington. They haven't lost. I don't know if they've lost.
I think they're first in the NHL. One sec.
Like, what is happening here?
Tied for first in the NHL, the Minnesota Wild and the Washington Capitals. Right behind them is the Winnipeg Jets.
They scored 6 goals the other night without Ovi.
17-6-1. Plus 32 goal differential.
19 goals in their last 4 games.
It's confounding.
I didn't see it coming, boys. I know Kyper likes Strome more than I had in the past, and maybe I got that one wrong.
Yeah, no, I like him. I like him. He's just one of those guys where it's not overly pretty, but he gets the job done.
Yeah.
It's like almost old schoolish.
A lot's happening right at the right time, like that protest, and Connor McMichael are kind of coming into their own. Duhaime and Mangiapane are
Matt
good depth
Roy
guys.
came back.
Yeah, that helps.
Chikrin's got 8 goals.
Chikrin has 8 goals.
8.
Jeez Louise.
No,
Sorry about the language.
I'm impressed. Oh, that was very, very rude.
Rasmus Sandin, I think, is second in the NHL in plus minus. Someone texted me that today. I could be wrong. I'll look it up.
So just quickly, because a couple minutes here, and I love to talk about Team Canada.
Second in the league.
We mentioned the Travis Sanheim, Travis Konechny, the double Travis thing before we got the Travi before we got to Waddell. I just wanted to revisit it here before we go. How many true Sanheim? Did anybody have Sanheim? Was there any one projected team?
Okay. Has anyone really watched Philadelphia the last 3 years?
I've known him to be
right.
I've known him to be a good. I've known him to be a good prospect and a good player, but Team Canada, they're going to be way more surprises like that one out of left field.
What do you have on our lineup here in net?
Oh, Joey Decord.
Joey Decord. What's Elliott had a report on this, didn't he, Saturday night too?
Yeah. So it was that he is a Canadian citizen, but he doesn't physically have a Canadian passport.
Ugh.
So if he gets a Canadian passport by a certain time, then maybe he can. Listen,
we're not jumping through hoops for Joey Decord.
We're Canada.
Yeah, this
isn't a Joel Embiid situation here.
No.
Elliott, if you're listening to the show,
no, not another Elliott stray.
Elliott, what are your sources saying on a driver's license? Would that help Joey Decord? Elliott, what about a library card?
No comment.
Would that help Joey Decord?
I know we're desperate. We're looking for whatever we can get.
Piece of mail with his name on it.
Not enough, Kip.
Not enough?
Not going to have it in time. He cannot be selected.
Okay, we'll wait for Elliott to report on library cards next week.
But, we had thrown out the idea last week on somebody texted and asked us at our last segment on Friday about the potential of Joey Decord. I just don't like the thought of Canada having to jump through hoops to get any player to play for us. It's that's a point of pride that we have enough good players. We don't have to worry about that. And certainly, God love Joey Decord, having a great year, been a good player. Certainly not.
No.
For Joey Decord.
The Joel Embiid point is a great one, right? He's Cameroon by birth, but grew up in the U.S.
And is French, too, somehow. So, he could have played for any 3 of the teams.
Chose USA.
Yeah, chose USA.
Which you jump through hoops for
Yes.
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I guess. But
I don't think Joey's sitting there going, okay, what time's the passport office open up and
Yeah.
take a.
If I were
You
him,
better get in line like 4 a.m. tomorrow.
nightmare.
Or he's like, or I could go to Cabo for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I wonder what she's going to pick.
There was a backup goalie trade in the league.
Oh, yeah. This is a
Mackenzie Blackwood.
No.
No, I said that wrong. Wedgwood. Oh, it's a big
Wedgwood.
difference. There's wood involved.
Yes, I teed that up. I teed that up, and I can't even tell you who the other guy is.
I butchered
Was it
his
not
name.
Eustace Annanen?
It was.
From,
It was. Yeah.
I was desperate for
Colorado?
a hook to get them to hang on
was
between the
bad.
commercial
That was
break
desperate.
and come back to our show.
That was
I
really-
threw out the backup goalie trade.
Yeah.
If you're Colorado, just how about trade for a good one?
No, you just need something else to figure it out. You just got to try someone else. The league is full of Joey Decord and
I don't get-
Wedgwood and
I-
guys that like maybe they'll be good this year.
I don't know. Colorado has to win now, and we don't know what they're going to do with Rantanen.
You know what's interesting to me is we had Don Waddell on, and he said with Merzlikins, Elvis as he calls him,
Yeah.
really interesting note about personality and how he said, I told him this year, be a good teammate. And he's being a better teammate, and that's whatever. His numbers are not good, but he's been
We tell Sammy that every day.
just be a good teammate.
Just be a good
But
teammate.
If I'm
You
not a good
mentioned-
teammate, boys, I got nothing.
You mentioned Georgiev like being difficult at times in his history, right? He got into it with Tony D'Angelo. That was part of his
Yes.
exit from the Rangers.
Yeah.
So him and Elvis, if you're a backup goalie trying to be a starter or trying to stay somewhere, I don't know, be decent to people.
Yeah.
Not
He
that hard.
does. Georgiev has a bit of a reputation of being a little bit of a finger pointer.
Yeah. Like, hey, you screen me.
Your fault.
Get in the shooting
Not
lane.
my fault.
Yep.
Your fault.
Mhm.
Ooh.
That's tough in an NHL locker room.
Oh, boy,
Yeah.
is it ever.
Especially with guys like Nathan McKinnon on that team.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to love that. Hey, you mentioned the Waddell thing. It was a pretty newsy interview now that I look back on it.
Yeah, he
So
said,
if
He said a lot of things. If you want to listen, go back.
If,
He said a lot
if
of
you
things.
like trade talk,
they're doing stuff in
yeah.
Columbus.
And like,
Although Olivier, not for sale. I did hear him trade Provorov, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
He didn't say that expressly, but I heard him say, circle back in the new year.
yeah,
you know-
put a pin in it till after the holidays, maybe.
you know how many teams would trade for Olivier right now?
Many.
There'd be a lineup.
Love that guy.
Yeah, he'll punch a size your face for free, but 7 goals before Christmas to go with
I'd like
it.
to be his agent.
Well, I think it
He's
helps
having-
as an agent
he's-
when the GM says he's not going anywhere.
He's having a year like I had when I had like 325 penalty minutes and scored 17 goals.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun when you get.
Oh,
Did
How
you
was there
cash in
enough
on
ice
that?
time for that?
what's that?
Did you cash in on that one?
I don't know. Yeah, I think I may have come. I think I tripled my salary. I think.
Yeah, that helps. I'd like to triple mine.
Yeah.
That's an absurd season, Kyper.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But no, I just don't know how you're on the ice enough for that to happen.
God,
That's-
I
A lot
wanted.
of pin.
There's only like, I don't know if there's 10 guys in the history of the league that scored 20 goals and had 300 penalty
Do you
minutes.
think of some posts? Do you remember some
yeah.
could have beens in that
I
year?
pulled my abdominal muscles or that sports hernia thing
Yeah.
that cut off like 7 or 8 games I had.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, 78 games. You know whose agent I'd like to be? Josh Allen's agent.
buddy,
God.
nice hat today, eh?
He's my favorite player. He's maybe one of my favorite athletes.
By the way,
I love watching him
Was
play.
it 36 feet of snow in Buffalo? It's an hour and a half from here. We got nothing.
They just don't care. They're just like, yeah, we're going.
Yeah.
Like it's just sitting in snow for
No
3 hours.
shirts.
They don't care.
Buffalo's
It was fun though. It's fun TV watching it last night
Yeah, with your curled up beside with your little Swiss Chalet blanket on.
for sure. Okay, I'm off to the alumni box.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, for the
You
pork
think,
chops.
you think I wear a nice blazer for you guys?
No, I don't.
Enjoy your Monday night, Amazon night. Download, enjoy your game, and we're back tomorrow on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show.